Something I learned way later than I should have is how precious I am. And if you don't already know that you are precious, then please learn very quickly, not even for anybody else's sake. This is for your sake. This is purely for your sake. Seeing yourself as a precious human being makes it so you recognize that you are not a endless ball of energy, that you need rest and rejuvenation and time to recharge, which means that you will be careful and choosing where and who with you share your energy, because some people truly do go out of their way to drain it. And this is probably like a subsection of things that I should have known sooner. Some people truly do intend to hurt you. They intend to hurt me. There are people who intend to be hurtful. I paused for a second because I needed a moment to breathe. I work as something that forces me to read a lot, and I'm reading this book, Why Does He Do That, by Lundy. I worry that I mispronounced this person's name. I'm struggling to remember the last name, so I'll just leave the info in the description below. This book is about why people choose to be abusers. And in the book, Lundy goes ahead and demystifies certain ideas that just get passed around, like, oh, this person was under the influence of drugs and alcohol. Turns out, no, alcohol's never an excuse, nor is it something that drives someone to be an abusive person, or that the people choose to be abusive because they come from dysfunctional childhoods, or they were abused as children. Apparently, statistics suggest that's not necessarily something that's working with the highest correlation either. So people who choose to be abusive because that is in alignment with their belief system. They believe that there is somebody who gets to have power over another, and they get to be the oppressor, so they choose to be so. And some of them truly enjoy being able to get away with being abusers. Now, I used a very extreme example to make a point that doesn't necessarily have complete crossover. Just follow it. The fact that there are people who are abusers simply because they can be, and they believe that they can, and they even enjoy the fact that they can get away with it, means that there's not an excuse for being a horrible person or a mean person. There's no excuse for being evil. Sure, there actually are people who are abused. There actually are people who perhaps their judgment is impaired and so forth. But judgment impairment doesn't mean doing things that are heinous or wildly malicious. Perhaps the judgment that was impaired is the belief that the consequence is going to follow. When I came to the realization that I am both precious and there isn't really an excuse to be mean. There might be reasons behind it. Sometimes the reason is simply this person wants to be a mean person. Accepting that I am precious and that I do not deserve mean treatment. No one deserves mean treatment. No one. coming to those two realizations, two things that I should have recognized and learned and internalized much earlier, it has changed the way that I do things. And I would also say living alone is also adding to this, in the sense that I'm like, wow, I have insurance and bills and expenses and surprise expenses and so many different responsibilities that not only am I precious, I am precious, and I exhaust a lot of energy to shelter myself, to nourish myself. In order to meet my needs, I need to continue to meet my needs, to continue to meet my needs. Like, it becomes cyclical. So in order to meet my need of aesthetic needs, so living in a home, like having shelter that I like, and relational needs, so being able to connect with my friends, I need to be able to pay my phone bill, like going back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. In order for me to continue to meet my needs, I have to recognize that I am precious. And if I am very stressed out, if I am significantly exhausted, if I start to see my self-esteem dwindle to the point where I start losing discipline and motivation, then I am now putting myself at risk of having my needs neglected by the person that needs to be able to meet them, and that's me. As an adult, the vast majority of my needs are needs that I have to be able to proactively seek out. Of course, I can't meet all the needs myself. Like, when it comes to the need for respect, like the esteem needs of feeling respected in my community and so forth, I need to receive validation from other people. The needs of safety and love, I need to be able to have relationships with other people and get that validation from my friendships and my family and so forth. So there's no fully living and being able to meet the needs exclusively all by myself. That being said, I still have to be well enough to proactively ensure that I am meeting my needs. And so do you. You have to be able to make sure that you are proactively going out there to meet your needs. And if, for whatever reason, you are treating yourself less than the precious angel that you are, what ends up happening is that it becomes harder and harder to both meet your needs and evolve your needs, to perhaps take a need for love and belonging beyond just friendship. Like, perhaps you have someone that you like, but if you haven't met your need for trusted relationships, going into a romantic relationship and a deep commitment might just be something, a need that you're not able to evolve into yet. And if you have a need to be a director at your job, however, you haven't met your need of being respected in your workplace and feeling as though what you say matters, like you can speak up in the boardroom, then chances are it's going to be a lot harder for you to evolve your need. So getting to the real point of I am precious and you are precious, that has made it so much easier for me to walk away at the first sign of disrespect. And I am not someone who is like completely unreasonable. Like, I definitely believe in hearing things out. I understand human relationships are sometimes ambiguous and confusing and people make mistakes and all that stuff. That being said, one thing I've learned in life is if there are no consequences, then people begin to think that they can do whatever they want, that the mistakes are limitless, and they begin to disrespect more easily because they believe they can, because they got away with it. For example, this is my last example to really like bring it all together. I moved into my new home, this apartment complex, and it was super late at night. I was coming from the gym, so I was tired. It was dark. I feel like there's not perfect lighting here. Like, I feel like the lighting in this complex could be better. I parked somewhere and I did not realize I parked in reserved parking. Woke up next day, car towed. And really in that moment, I just realized I knew what happened. I found the tow number. I went there. I got an Uber. I paid a $230 fee. And I tipped my Uber driver. Because she was nice. My Uber driver was really nice. And I realized that my misfortune does not neglect my need to be kind to other people. And I will say that every single time after, I have been so careful. Even if it's nighttime, I'm super careful where I park because I made a mistake once. And the person at the tow place was like, oh, I don't understand why they don't give a warning. And I truly was just thinking, you know what, but we're all adults. You know, like, we're adults. At least I'm an adult. Maybe there are some teens driving around. I'm an adult. And while I did not enjoy paying that fee and going through that whole process, and it really threw off my day, I respect the parking situation even more because of the consequence. And I realized that I am so precious that experience really took a toll on me. It really cost me a lot of stress, and I had to overextend myself, and then I worked the full day. So it made me realize I don't actually even want to move my car all the time because there's a parking issue in my complex. So it's there's no, they actually have parking problems. But that being said, it's because I realize all the inconveniences that can come with moving my car, extending myself, the risk of driving in the dark, I realize I am so precious. I have to preserve myself. I have to honor myself. No one else is going to know all that I have to deal with than me. And if something is making me feel or believe that I have to question how precious I am or how precious another person finds me, then it's time to walk away from the situation and be kind. You can be kind and have boundaries and limits. We need boundaries. Boundaries come with consequences. There's a limit, and then the consequence comes when somebody crosses the limit. So when someone crosses the limit of what you will tolerate and so forth, and you really have developed a close enough relationship with them, communicate obviously, but if somebody crosses a boundary in a way that is obscene and it makes you feel as though your self-esteem is starting to drop, you have to meet your needs so that you can keep meeting your needs. Because while other people are going to meet your needs, if there are people who are parasitically draining you, it's going to be so much harder to meet your needs.